Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. The Forbes India-Tycoons of Tomorrow list represents leaders who faced adversity but had the courage to continue to march ahead, whose one success led to another, making their journey and not just the destination an inspiration. This week's episode features two of the tycoons, Zorawar Kalra and Ameera Shah.
The life of an entrepreneur, I very often say, is like jumping off a cliff and building an aircraft on the way down. So the journey of an entrepreneur is really very exciting. There are so many ambiguities. There are always 1,000 reasons to not do something and only one real good reason to do it. And I think I've always been the kind of guy who chose that one good reason. And especially the restaurant business is highly risky. I think it's perhaps the most difficult business in terms of failure rate. 90% of the restaurants shut down within the first year, 96% odd within the next 18 to 24 months. So it's a difficult business. But I think that's what entrepreneurs enjoy. They enjoy the challenges that they face day to day. They love seeing the results of their efforts play out. And when you make a plan, the plan works, and you see the results, and you start really getting appreciation from the people that you're serving, then that makes all the efforts worth it. I started off with this brand called Punjab Grill, which I exited in 2012. That was a great learning experience. It was the first time I'd opened a restaurant chain of that size across India. It was doing fantastic business. But I thought that I needed to venture out and do something else. We had partners over there, and we had a very good discussion, and they bought out my shares and I exited the company. And about 5 years ago, I started Massive Restaurants. So, Massive Restaurants is a true passion project. When I exited my previous company, the goal was to really take the business of food and innovate. And we've mainly been a predominantly Indian food company. And obviously now we have other brands. We have Asian, we have Thai, we have European, we have seafood concepts. So we are now doing other cuisines as well, but our heart truly lies with Indian. The goal of Massive Restaurants, when it started 5 years ago, was to put Indian food on the global palette permanently. And we're on our way to do that by opening Farzi cafes and masala libraries across the world. We really want to showcase Indian food. And we have this deep internal need. It's almost like a personal crusade to really make the world realize the sophistication and the brilliance and the complexity and the sheer width and variety of Indian food. So that's what the goal was at Massive 5 years ago when we started. That remains the goal today. The MBA was a fabulous experience. More than what it taught me from a ideological perspective, what it really helped me do was actually open up my horizons. It taught me to not think boutique, to think always on a large scale, to make sure that you have the internal plumbings, so to speak, working really well in the organization. And the goal was to arm myself with the knowledge to be able to come back and set up a restaurant company. 5 years ago when we started the whole molecular gastronomy trend in India, it was something new. And we did it with restraint. We never did it as a gimmick. We never did it just to put some theatre into the food. We did it as a genuine value add. The biggest challenge that we faced when we were doing this whole progressive Indian food, which some people call fusion, was to make sure that the fusion never got into confusion. And we always did food with a huge amount of respect to the host cuisine. So in our case, most of our restaurants are Indian in nature. We wanted to make sure that the food tasted exactly the way you were expecting it to. But by incorporating some of these techniques, we gave you a more unique and a totally never seen before kind of experience. The challenges were mainly, sourcing of some of the ingredients, people's acceptance. When we started Masala Library, we thought we were taking a big punt because people love Indian food and you can't really tinker with it. It's very close to their hearts, and everybody compares the food at restaurants with what they get at home. So I think one of the key challenges was initially to make sure that people don't think that we are spoiling the cuisine or we're playing around too much with something that is very beloved to their hearts. And that was a minor challenge though. I think in the first few months itself it was clear that people were appreciating the innovation People wanted us to do more cool things. They wanted us to play with different ingredients, mix, even within Indian cuisine, mix dishes from the north and south and create a hybrid food. So I think the initial challenge was sourcing of some of these equipments, sourcing of some of the materials, the education of the chefs themselves. We are all totally self-taught. None of our chefs, and we have so many chefs in our company, average age is 26, so very young guys. They hadn't really done too much molecular before or progressive food before. But I think the best kind of learning is when you do it out of a passion rather than having to learn something forcefully. And I think we gave them the resources, we gave them the training, we worked with them closely. Our chefs developed an innate sense of innovation. In fact, they're very excited to get out of bed every morning because they know they're going to do something cool and something fresh every day. And that kind of culture is the key. So it was a little bit of a challenge getting that culture going in the initial spaces. I consider my chefs like musicians. One of them could be a cello player, one of them could be a violinist, one of them could be a guitar player. And I consider myself like the conductor. So they create the beautiful music, but I'm kind of in charge of making sure that they have everything together and they work in harmony. And I think that's the fun part, creating these beautiful concepts, researching them, traveling the world in many cases, trying out the dishes. We almost do 150 trials for 50 dishes. We make sure that our chefs have complete creative freedom, but we also make sure that the true concept remains at the heart of the menu. My father told me at a very young age, figure out what you would do for free and then figure out a way to make money from it. And I think that's what I was lucky enough to be able to do. A lot of people sometimes have certain passions, but they're not able to make that passion a career. I think if you're lucky enough and if you're willful enough to actually pursue your passion and then make that your career, you'll find eventual success because you will never work another day in your life if you love what you're doing. We've taken a lot of decisions. Some of them have been, most of them have been good, but obviously some missteps. And that's a learning process. I think what makes a champion is not how you react when you're on top, but how you get up after falling down and then dust yourself off and then go finish the race. And the learnings have been immense. The biggest learning, perhaps even of my whole life, have been the importance of people, the importance of constantly innovating, and the importance of building a strong culture within your organization. Growing up, my father was perhaps my biggest inspiration. His work ethic, his determination, his sense of loyalty and responsibility towards Indian food has always inspired me. And I think that's what really set the ball rolling for me. Seeing him do what he did with so much passion, that really inspires me. But for me, inspiration can come from even the smallest of things. When I see one of my oldest colleagues who started off being a waiter and ended up becoming our head mixologist, that was, I think, the best source of inspiration for me internally within the organization. I respect and admire a lot of people, but I really think that we should carve out our own path. We don't want to do things that have been done before. But yes, there are a lot of inspiring restaurateurs across the world that I really, really respect, and they are inspirational. But I want to get inspired from their work ethic and their sense of determination rather than from the work they've already done. So very exciting times ahead for Massive. We want to be a company that obviously puts Indian food on the global palette. We're going to be international. We already are in Dubai, but we're going to be in about 8 countries by the end of the year. We're also going to be in a lot of Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities across India. It's a very, very exciting time. We're excited to just play our part. It's our goal to put Indian food on the global palette, and that's what we're doing. We also want to grow socially responsibly. We want to be a company that is considered a great employer of people. We want to be a company that has a lot of focus on locally sourced sustainable materials so that we support our farmers. We want to be a company that celebrates Indianness, is rooted deeply in its culture, but also has a role to play in propagating Indian culture by exporting it all over the world. So that's the future for Massive. We're going to be growing steadily across India and internationally. For me, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing. I wake up every morning with a spring in my step. I enjoy what I do every day. I have a great bunch of kids, 2 of them. They're the center of my being, and seeing them grow up is a lot of fun. I enjoy my little bit of hobbies, whatever time I can get. There's too much travel involved nowadays, so I'm not really getting too much time to do the hobby stuff or the fun stuff. But for me, work is fun. So I really don't think I'm working at all. I think I'm having fun every single day. And I think if we keep doing innovative stuff, if we keep doing what we love, the sky's the limit.
I've been eating, sleeping, breathing Metropolis for the last 17 years of my life. It's been my child. It was 2001. I was in Austin, Texas, at UT Austin, and I was debating what to do. And I had a few offers locally. I knew for sure that I wanted to work with a small firm. I'm not one to work with large companies. I had done that in Wall Street and not enjoyed it.
But I said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, starting entrepreneurship from zero in US is going to be quite difficult. So then I think you should come back, because we have got something going here. You can join and you can grow to whatever level that you want. She said, Dad, I'll think about it. After a week, she called me back, I'm coming back, and she came back.
I was also very patriotic, and that's the reason I decided I wanted to come back to India and I want to be an entrepreneur and really be able to impact my country, because there are a few of us who are educated and privileged, and I felt like if all of us leave the country and go away, then there's really not much to be done here. So that's how I came back. My parents as doctors had been running their own clinics. My father had his own lab, my mother had her own gynecology clinic, and I felt that there would be an opportunity to pick up one of them and really start to scale it. Pathology is a far more scalable healthcare service, and it's possible to institutionalize, which of course in 2001 wasn't the case. It was very individual-led, individual-driven, like individual doctor clinics. But there was a possibility to institutionalize it and corporatize it and make it into a chain, so it's not dependent on one person. And that's really how the whole thing started. We changed the name to Metropolis from Dr. Sushil Shah's lab, and that's how we really started to build it. At the time, of course, it wasn't a business. At the time, it was an individual lab, which we had about, I think, 35 employees. Its revenues of about 7 crores, 8 crores, profits, very profitable, and good quality reputation. What my father had managed to do as an individual doctor was really build a very high quality reputation for the lab. So I think there was, and he always had a vision of wanting to do something larger. He just never had the resources and the team to be able to help him actually execute it. The first goal really was to start making it into a business, which required a huge change of mindset. Growing up in a professional family, everybody thinks in a certain way, and business is done in a very different way. So really the first thing was change of mindset amongst the employees, because they were all medical employees. None of them actually thought about what does the patient think, what does the patient want. There was very little customer centricity. It was all about giving the best quality report, but it had not moved from there to think about distribution, to think about pricing, to think about automation, to think about processes, systems. So the biggest challenge was the mindset. So we were really pioneers in 2001 in terms of trying to build a chain of path labs across India. At the time, there were no chains. There were 1 or 2 which had just started to have the idea of becoming chains. But it was really very early in the day, and 100% of the market was fragmented. Individual path labs, they were not even regional chains. So really this was about really finding our own strategy and going forward. So decided that just the way my father had been building his path lab in South Bombay, there were many other pathologists who had been doing the same thing in other markets. And was there a way that we could really bring these pathologists together in an indigenous path lab chain before the multinationals came in. And that's really how we set about the initial years. Then of course we went on to do a lot more organic work. And even the acquisitions that we did, we actually only acquired small practices, but then we grew them by ourselves. So just to give you an example, in Chennai, our first acquisition was in 2004 in Chennai, where we acquired a small lab called Lister. And Lister was a very well-known name amongst people there. We changed the name to Lister Metropolis, we changed the processes, the systems, the people, the way of growing, all of that. And today Lister Metropolis in Tamil Nadu is the leader. We have about 8 labs across Tamil Nadu. We have about a few hundred collection centers. So we've really taken something which we acquired, but really morphed it into something completely different. But kept the soul and kept the personalized service of what we acquired. And that's been really the model through. The intent for us has always been three things. We've always talked about accuracy, empathy and integrity being very, very three key pillars of what we do. We've always said we will never take shortcuts at the cost of the patient's health, which is where accuracy comes in. We've always said we will do things with integrity, which means we will never cheat anyone, we will be fair to people, we'll make sure that we're always putting our best foot forward and being honest. And thirdly, doing everything with a sense of empathy. Because we're in healthcare, we're not selling soaps and shampoos. And in healthcare, people are anxious. People are worried about something happening to their loved ones. And if we can provide that softness, that kindness, that humanity while we're providing services, then I believe that differentiates us from everybody else. So those have been really the very core values. And a lot of people ask me, where did these come from? And honestly, they've come straight from my parents. There's nowhere else. We've always been the first at many things in India. We were the first ones to introduce many technologies, many tests, many service lines. So that's always been something that we've looked out for. And we've always wanted to make sure that patients are not paying an arm and a leg or not being cheated just because we're offering a good quality service. So what we've seen along the last 15, 20 years is some percentage of the market has become discerning. The educated customer who's traveled the world has become more discerning. And therefore brand matters, wellness matters. They themselves go and do tests in a preventive manner. But I think the market, the lack of regulation, the intense competition, lack of enforcement, I think have been big challenges. The real hard work has been about learning about a completely new industry. Healthcare is not something, either I'm not a doctor, it's not something that I have the technical knowledge for, but I've worked very hard to really build the knowledge. Alignment of all stakeholders is very key, making sure the board, making sure the team, making sure myself, making sure our customers understand what direction we're going in, making sure that we're all motivated towards the same goal, I think has been a very key part of it. I think, entrepreneurs have to realize that the most important asset and the most important personality trait that we all need is resilience. Because in entrepreneurship is really a very emotional journey. People think it's a journey where you're moving towards success, and people only see the successful outcomes. People don't know the hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs who have unfortunately not been successful in their endeavors. But what's most important is that through the journeys of entrepreneurship, sometimes there'll be highs, sometimes there'll be lows. Sometimes you'll be making good profits, sometimes not so much. Sometimes you're having fights, sometimes you're in good times. You have to have the resilience to see it through, which means that even on the worst days, you as the leader have to find a way to pick yourself up, find positivity, find hope, and be able to spread that message amongst the rest of the stakeholders, because nobody else is going to do that. The buck stops with us. A lot of people focus a lot on business, and what we don't realize is sometimes that organizations are actually organisms. It's a bunch of living, breathing people who are working together. And if these living, breathing people don't follow the same values and don't have the same common purpose when it comes to work and when it comes to their profession, you may do sales, you may do business, but you'll never build a long-lasting institution. I also think entrepreneurs have to be able to balance between the short term and the long term. A lot of people will teach us, think long term, think sustainability. Sometimes you don't have enough cash for a month. You don't have enough money to pay salaries. So you really have to be able to know that when your short term is comfortable, you have to start focusing on the long term. When your long term is not certain and your short term is not certain, you really have to be able to balance between the two. The third thing I would say about entrepreneurs is, there has to be a balance again between paranoia and too much fear. Entrepreneurs in general are paranoid by nature, and we need to be. We're always worried about some competitor clipping at our heels, something changing in the market, and this paranoia is hugely helpful, because this paranoia keeps you alert, it keeps you cautious, it keeps you wondering about everything. And one of the things that's kept me alert is paranoia. But when that paranoia becomes extreme and you become too fearful, that's a real negative on your business, because then you don't have the ability to take risks, you don't have the ability to be cautious and objectively cautious, and fear overwhelms you. So to me, entrepreneurship is all a journey about balance in many forms.